Hello and welcome to today's video. So this time we're going to be taking a look through the first 100 or so Pan Majors. Now these were the big thick Pan books that came out the very tail end of the 1950s into the early 1960s. There's some absolutely fantastic books to look at today. So sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Okay, so we start off with M1. This is a Pan Major, and this one dates from 1959. This is the first edition of the Pan Major series. So these are the M's, and you'll notice that these are big, thick books. And it's got the little M1 with a crown, a 4-starred crown on the bottom of the spine. And that's how it denotes that it's a major. Now this copy is fairly worn, as you can see, but it's the only one I've had in a first. And the problem with these big, thick, early books is, if I was, you could quite easily pick up a copy of this online for probably just £1 or £2. It's not exactly valuable. However, the postage, at least in the UK, because it comes under sort of parcel post, you're going to be looking at about £3.20. So this is exactly the sort of book, these majors, that you should look out for when you're out book hunting, because the postage on them is going to be really expensive. M2 then is The Last Angry Man, Gerald Green. Once again, nice early sort of painted jacket, that one. The outspoken bestseller of a doctor's life in a New York slum. Sort of a better angle there of the spine where you can see the crown. And these were 5 shillings, which is not, it's quite a bit of money, isn't it? And the difference in price, I'm sure you're aware, but the difference in price for each series is down to the prefix and the size of the book. The Tribe That Lost Its Head, this is M4. Nicholas Monsarrat, this is another nice one. Author of The Cruel Sea. Savage Story of Revolt. You can just see by the size of these huge early majors. Island in the Sun, Alec Waugh. Intrigue, murder and passion on a sun-drenched tropical island. And look, this was actually a movie tie-in, so it's filmed by 20th Century Fox, James Mason, Joan Fontaine, Joan Collins, who I believe that is, Dorothy Dandridge, and co-starring Harry Belafonte. There you are, another sort of Pan movie tie-in. They did a load of those, didn't they? They really did. M6, Desiree, Anne-Marie Selinko. The intimate story of the beautiful woman Napoleon loved and spurned. Wow. Huge book. Well, I've not got a lot of room. I'm going to have to move the camera out already. Let's just do a few more. This one's a little bit thinner, M8, British Architects and Craftsmen, but it has got a photograph insert, and that's possibly why this was the higher price. Remember, the majors were done by the price, not just by their size, so this one probably cost a little bit more to produce, and that's why it's a major. I'm not sure, but that does look like the inside of Buckingham Palace. And yeah, looking at sort of fine state buildings. Now M9 I've got 2 copies of. This is the first one. And I can't, it's unfortunate. Oh yes, I can. I was just going to say, I can just see a tiny bit of signature and it says Taylor. So Taylor did the cover for this one of The Cardinal, the world famous novel, candid but reverent of the orders and triumphs of priesthood. Well, there you go. Another illustration on the back, so that's quite nice. You do get your value for money. These are very early 1960s. And we've got a second copy of The Cardinal. And this is the movie tie-in to it, yet now filmed by Otto Preminger. Tom Tyrone plays the Cardinal. There he is on the back. M10 is another one of their non-fiction ones, and I always think these either turn up mint or hammered, And this one, well, it's not mint, but it's pretty nice. It's The Small Garden. Nice big gardening book. Also covered by Taylor there. Putting his skills to paint his fruit and veg. And a few flowers as well. An illustration at the top there with your gardening tools. Brilliant stuff. And this one's illustrated as well. Got a photo insert. Now this next one is a real favourite of mine. I've had it a long time. And it's by Colin Wilson, Ritual in the Dark. Now, this on its own is actually quite a sought-after book, and this is the first pan edition of it. And like some of my Colin Wilsons, I actually, when I was in the early years of being a bookseller, in the early 90s, I did an event with Colin Wilson. And at the time, I had a few pan books by him in my collection already. So I took him along for him to sign, which he graciously did. There we are. And he did a talk that evening, and I'll never forget it. It was just so good. What a great talker he was. And the place was packed out. It was a complete sellout, and great signing. So the next one we got is M17, the Lotus Heater. It's now a really nice cover, this one, with the lady sort of sunbathing there, by Oval. Fantastic. By the author of The Last Angry Man. Rending apart the phony values of big operators, unmasking sexual greed and marital infidelity. This biting novel highlights the moral crisis facing America. Well, hey. There we are. They've used a little bit of the cover again on the back, the front cover. I'll just start a second pile over there now. This is M18. The Travels of Jamie McFeeters. Robert Louis Taylor, a nice western by the looks of it. Street in turn with ribald laughter and icy terror. A big brimming story of the great Californian gold rush that won the Pulitzer Prize, America's top award for fiction. Now that looks like Connell, somebody Connell by the look of it, the signature. Something M. Connell, not one of the big pan artists, but nice little cover all the same. They've reused the two elements there on the back as well again. M20. This is by John Hersey. Now Hersey was a reporter who became a writer, famous for Hiroshima. He was interviewed people at Hiroshima just after the bomb went off. Searing novel of love, death and destruction. Now this was a movie tie-in as well, and starred Steve McQueen, Robert Wagner and Shirley Ann Field. Glenn Stewart did the cover art for this one. And there is Robert Wagner on the back. Cool stuff, a nice Steve McQueen movie tie-in. That's directed by John Surtees, I believe. M21 is the Chapman Report, so just a text cover, so a bit of a cop out. However, this is yet another movie tie-in, and Robert Ephraim plays a member of the Chapman team, produced by Richard Zanuck, one of the Zanuck brothers. Chapman Report. Here we are. That's M21. And you'll look at those spines, you can see they've all, they do look really uniform with the big crown on the side. And they've all got the same price of 5 shillings. M22, The Devil Inside. Stephen Coulter. Passionate lover, insane gambler, towering genius. The tempestuous life of Dostoevsky, a giant among men. So this is a look at the life of Dostoevsky, eh? Well, there you go. Let's just check the date on this one. Yeah, 1962, so it's still in the early sort of 1960s. We'll go, I haven't got them all by any means, but we will go up as far as pan M number 100. This is M24, Fuel for the Flame, Alec Waugh. Hot Stuff, A Patent Place of the Pacific. Another nice cover by Oval. M27. So the style of cover has now changed. And as you can sort of see, the crown has gone and it's back to the more traditional number here. And this is for the movie tie-in of Tom Jones. And this has got Albert Finney in the role. Very young looking Albert Finney. Look, he's actually got hair. Brilliant. So let's just date this one, just so we got an idea of when this came in. So this is actually a reprint of this one. So it was first published in Pan in '63. So this is actually a later edition, but I've probably kept it because it is the movie time. So that doesn't actually help. That's an edition from '67. So I thought it looked quite a bit out of place. But even so, the style has changed because this one here is number 36. A Ring of Bright Water, which is quite a famous one by Gavin Maxwell. And this one, I've just spotted the signature, is W. Francis Phillips, just in the bottom there. And he went on to do lots of covers for Pan. This isn't that out of the ordinary, but it is the story of an otter, isn't it? So it is what it is. And this is a first from '63. So it was early-ish sort of times when the traditional M on the side did go. This is number 37, A Sense of Values, Sloan Wilson. A marriage that began with fierce young love and foundered on the rocks of success, temptation and infidelity. A novel by the author of A Summer Place. Another cover by Oval. Nice, intricate, lots going on in that one. Looks like they've just had a Barney. Another classic, Pan book, number 39, M39. This is Kerouac's on the Road. A bit of a tatty old copy of this one, but it's quite scarce to get. This one's a little bit worn. There he is. It always annoyed me that Penguin tried to make a big deal from about 1990 onward, even though it was a Penguin book from about 1970. Penguin tried to make a big deal about it being always a Penguin book, and it wasn't. They even released a video on it saying, oh, this is a great Penguin book. And it wasn't. They didn't even mention that it was a Pan, first of all. They did exactly the same with the Clockwork Orange. Trying to brush over history, but us paperback collectors, we're not going to stand for it. Right then, M43, Covenant with Death, John Harris. Now there was a signature there, but it looks like it's covered in the grass. 2 years in the making, 10 minutes in the destroying. That was our history. The magnificent searing novel of men who march from city streets to death on the Somme. So I guess this is a First World War copy. Yes, they obeyed Kitchener's pointing finger and decided to sign up. M47 then is H.G. Wells. Tono Bungay. Not one of it. Well, I suppose it is one of his more famous ones. That's interesting. It's got an Australian oversticker, to say it's not 7 and 6 in Australia anymore. It's 8 shillings, but in the UK, it was still the 5 shilling price point, which is like 25 pence in modern money. M49 is a Georgette Heyer, bit of a longer one by her. Creates one of our most unforgettable heroines in The Spanish Bride, a vivid and exciting novel of Wellington's Peninsular War. Another cover by Oval I spot down there. Lovely jacket, that one. Certainly got her fans. Oh, Georgette Heyer. And her crime stuff is excellent. M50, Captain Newman, MD. And without even looking, in fact, there isn't a signature on it, but I'm certain that style is M. Francis Phillips. And this was a movie tie-in as well, starring Gregory Peck and Tony Curtis. The book that captivated 2 continents, a brilliant and surprising novel that swings from hilarity to heartbreak and back again. Not one I've ever heard of. M60, The Years of Alison, Warren Cheetham Strode. Oval cover, a famous playwright's major novel, the compelling intimate story of a lovely young rebel in peace and war. Now, just compare, this is still 5 shillings, but just compare, it's about half the size of some of these. And that's because time has marched on. This is 1964 now, so, they didn't do a lot of majors in that time. But your 5 shillings got less pages than it did at the start of the 1960s. This is a lovely one, M61. This is Spectrum 1. Now, this is a sci-fi anthology that was put together by Kingsley Amis and Robert Conquest. And these are, it's just a sci-fi compendium, basically. This one's got, a collection from the last 20 years. I believe they went on and did about 5 or 6 of these Spectrum anthologies. This is this one from 1964. Yeah, they were all Glance hardbacks. Fantastic. But there's the first one. Nice sort of arty cover, that one. M63, another Georgette Heyer, The Conqueror. Oval cover again. This is a romantic spectacular, a brilliant telling of the story of William the Conqueror, a giant among men. Just looking at the spelling of William, but it is actually William. It just looked like 3 L's because the font wasn't particularly good. Right, M64, The 9 Days of Dunkirk. Well, that's a great jacket, isn't it? That sort of puts you in the action. So yeah, this looks at the evacuation from Dunkirk. Fairly recently filmed, wasn't it? 2 or 3 years ago, maybe a bit more. Fantastic little movie, that one. This one's good. M68, My Darling Clementine. This is the story of Clementine Churchill. His greatest fan, stayed with him through thick and thin. Fantastic. She was a real sort of legend in her own right, really. Introduction by President Roosevelt's wife, Eleanor. Yes, Clementine Churchill, she's a fantastic woman. Forgotten nowadays, we always remember her husband, but Clementine did a lot for the country as well. Another Georgette Heyer, The Reluctant Widow. Married at midnight, a widow at dawn, then heiress to a house of secrets. It's a bit gothic, this one, isn't it? But the Gothics hadn't come on at this point. This is a little bit early for those. 1965, so this is a later one that got reissued as an M. This would have come out beforehand. This is M72, The Long Summer of George Adams, by the author of the fabulously successful Onion Head. Okay, if it was fabulously successful, if you say so. Quite an elaborate cover, this one. I like all the extra pieces on it as well. It's great. I like it when they do that. You feel like you're getting a bit of value for money. No idea what this one's about. I can't really remember. Small town family in the summer heat. A crazy comedy, it says. 1964. Don't really remember that one, but it's a nice copy, so I'm not going to knock it. M73 then, The Pan Book of Animal Stories. This is another little compilation. Lots of recognisable names on there. My copy's a bit on the worn side, I guess because it's so white. It got easily marked. Might need a bit of a clean as well, that one, but hey-ho. Now this one I do really, really like. And this is John Fowles' The Collector. This is a really fantastic book. When the book was first published, I believe in hardback, it had a cover by Tom Adams, who was a mate of John Fowles. So he was the great cover artist who did a lot of the Agatha Christie's, and he famously did Colonel's Son in its first edition in hardback. But the first paperback I see was W. Francis Phillips, so he also got great treatment on the paperback. This one mentions the film tie-in with Terence Stamp and Samantha Eggar. And if you're wondering what he does collect, he collects butterflies. That is what the collector collects in John Fowles' book. Then I've got a second copy, which is like the true sort of movie tie-in version, where they've got rid of Francis Phillips' cover. They've got another one here, but it doesn't really, it's not clear who the signature is. It might be by Lowe. Definitely making full star of the cast there. And there's, look at that, that's still on the back. So it's just like a little variation of that one with the movie tie-in. Now we've got the second Spectrum anthology, very, very similar to the first. Kingsley Amis, Robert Conquest, and Philip K. Dick in there has them off. A few great names. Little advert for the first Spectrum on the back. Good stuff. Then we've got M87. So this is Doris Leslie, I Return. A brilliant historical novel of the life of Francois Villon, vagabond, licentious lover, courtier, thief, and poet of genius. And you'll notice that some of them start to get a bit thin now because they're maybe reissues or they're later in the run. Although this is an exception, M89. This is actually back to being quite a thick one. Scandal's Child by Edmund Schiedel. She was rich, wild and willful, doomed to leave a trail of destruction. By the author of The Devil in Bucks County. Another one by Oval, just signature down there. Looks like she's been skinny dipping by the look of it. Tut, tut, tut. Alan Burgess, author of The Small Woman. So this is M94, The Lovely Sergeant. Looks like there's a bit of a sticker tape to take off there. That's one that might need the treatment. And this must be one that I've had for years, since it's in such a state, I would imagine. M94. M96 is The Death of Achilles, Victor Price. The emergency in Cyprus brilliantly portrayed in human terms and showing how violence distorts all values. From Books and Bookman. It's interesting how they've taken that little sort of element of the cover and blown it right up and then popped it on the back cover as well. But that's really, really good effect, that. Number 98, The Bedford Incident. Now superbly filmed for release by Columbia Pictures. So it's another movie tie-in. Looks like a naval drama. Hunting submarines by the look of it. Richard Widmark and Sidney Poitier. Engrossing, it deals with a ghastly possibility, the possibility that World War III, with all its nuclear horrors, could be ignited accidentally by the miscalculations or folly of fallible individuals. Ah, yes. Now, number 99 is another big, thick one. Forlorn Sunset, Michael Sadlier, author of Fanny by Gaslight. And this is like a little vignette in the middle. No sort of signature on that one, but it's like an old classic. And then number 100 was by the same author, and this is his classic Fanny by Gaslight. Exactly the same format, so almost certainly these would have been published sort of at the same time, side by side, as M99 and M100. So there you go, quite a nice little batch of nice big thick Pan books, and the start of our look at the M series. So there you go, hope you enjoyed looking through this M series of Pan paperbacks. There certainly are some great books in there, and there'll be at least a couple more videos before I've gone through my collection of all of these. If you have enjoyed today's video, do please give it that thumbs up, and do please consider subscribing if you've not already for regular vintage paperback action. I shall very much look forward to seeing you again very soon. Thank you for watching today. Bye.